So the big three of Dub Nation in Curry, Green, and Klay have expressed to the Warriors front office that they want the franchise to focus on the pursuit of a championship, even to consider using their 2 lottery picks to get someone who can help immediately. And then, Marcus Thompson of The Athletic reported that Washington's All-NBA guard Bradley Beal sits atop their wish list.
From not only his coaches, but his players, teammates as well. My goodness!
3, they gotta go quick. Beal will pull up for 3. He hits it.
Some people hate this trade, and some people love this trade. Today, I'm going to go into the ins and outs of this trade to see exactly how this would play out in the Warriors' quest for another championship. First off, before any of us start passing judgment, I just have to remind you that Curry, Klay, and Green all think this would be a positive for the team. I mean, these 3 aren't just casual fans who don't know anything about basketball. They aren't Skip Bayless, who criticizes without even knowing how to play ball. They are the core of the Golden State Warriors dynasty, who went to 5 straight finals, winning 3 of them. If Steph Curry, a 2-time MVP, best player on the planet, thinks this is a good trade for Dub Nation, we gotta take a look at it. So without further ado, here we go. The trade scenario would be as follows. The Warriors would have to give up their 7th and 14th pick in the 2021 NBA Draft in order for the Wizards to go into rebuild mode. Next off, the Wizards would also be asking for James Wiseman to help with that rebuild. Lastly, to make the salary situations work out for the teams, Andrew Wiggins would unfortunately have to go as well. The Warriors, on the other hand, would be receiving the 2nd leading scorer in 2021, a bona fide superstar in Bradley Beal.
Here's Beal. His jumper is good.
He and Westbrook have each gone for 30-plus tonight. Beal with Caruso on him, trying to shake him.
Let's take a look at the damage Bradley Beal did in 2021 and how he did it. 31.3 points per game while grabbing 4.7 rebounds and dishing out 4.4 assists. In terms of efficiency, Beal had his most efficient year shooting from the field at 48.5%. From the three-point line, he shot at 34.9%, and then from the free throw line, Beal went 88.9%. If it wasn't for Steph Curry and all of his greatness, Beal would have won his first NBA scoring title. Now, let's see what type of player Beal is by looking at his shooting splits. Whenever he's within 8 feet of the basket, he scores at 58.9%. Anywhere between 8 to 16 feet out, he scores at 48.3%. Anywhere between 16 and 24 feet out, Beal scores at 44.9%. And then, from 24 feet out, it's 34.9%. Keep this in mind as well. Because he was the best scorer on the Wizards, he did all this while being guarded by the opposing team's best defender. Now, moving on. He can beat you on a one-on-one ISO play.
Pushes ahead to Beal. Chance to tie with a 3 for the Wizards.
And just like Steph, he's a master of pick and rolls and can shoot the 3-ball well.
We'll find out though over the next week or 2, especially after the All-Star break.
Yeah, no question.
And on top of all of this, Bradley Beal can finish above the rim as well.
Men's Brazilian national team worked his way into the starting lineup.
With Bradley Beal on the Warriors roster, you'll have 2 30-point scorers on the court at all times. And with both of their abilities to score in a variety of ways, the Warriors would solve their biggest issue from last season, and that was scoring. I mean, the Warriors were 19th out of 30 teams last season when it came down to offensive efficiency. And to highlight it even more, check out these stats from StatMuse. When the Warriors had Steph on the floor, they were the 13th best offensive team in the league. And when Steph wasn't on the floor, they had the worst offense of any team in the last 5 seasons. How is that even possible? A Bradley Beal trade would definitely fix whatever offensive deficiencies the Warriors have. Now, I know a lot of us, me included, are going to start saying, but what about the defense? What about the defense? What about the defense? I mean, Bradley Beal's listed as 6'3", so who can he guard? Isn't he too small to stop people like LeBron James and Kevin Durant? The answer is yes, but there's a big but. Defense is not an area of concern for the Warriors, as they were 5th in the league in defensive efficiency this past season. Furthermore, the Warriors have Draymond Green, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate who's able to set the team's tone defensively. I mean, Andrew Wiggins wasn't known as two-way Wiggins until he got to the Bay Area. On top of all this, when the playoffs arrive, just an increase in intensity and getting into proper team defensive positions is good enough to make the opponents take tough shots. To illustrate this, look no further than the 2021 Brooklyn Nets. The Nets this past season were tied for 19th overall in defensive efficiency, but look at what they did against the Milwaukee Bucks in the playoffs. The Nets held the Bucks to 86 points in Game 2, 86 points again in Game 3, and 104 points in Game 6. The Milwaukee Bucks in the regular season scored a league high of 121.1 points per game, yet against the Nets, they never crossed that mark even once in the playoffs. By adding Beal to the roster, in exchange for Wiggins, yes, the defense would fall slightly, but the compensation on offense would more than make up for any defensive deficiencies.
The first quarter had a 10-0 run. They hit 5 straight shots. They lead it here by 3 now.
Again, look at the Brooklyn Nets this past season. They were tied for 19th on the defensive side of the court, but because they were such an offensive juggernaut that can outscore every single team on pretty much every single night, they were the 2nd seed in the East and probably would have won the championship if Harden and Kyrie were healthy. Let me repeat that again. A team that had the 19th rated defense overall in the regular season would have won the 2021 NBA championship had they remained healthy. Next off, aside from defense, some of us might say, what about the depth? I mean, we'll be losing Wiggins, Wiseman, and 2 draft picks. That's going to deplete the bench, and yep, it would. But how would it affect the playoffs, which is really all that matters anyway? The thing is, during the playoffs, NBA teams usually employ a 7 or 8 man rotation. So let's take a look at what the Warriors would have if this trade goes through. The starting lineup would be Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Bradley Beal, and JTA. Coming off the bench would be Jordan Poole, Kevon Looney, and perhaps a veteran that the Warriors haven't acquired yet like Kevin Love, Rudy Gay, or Nicholas Batum. Man, that is an 8-man rotation which is loaded with firepower that can shoot opposing teams out of the water. There's not much of an issue when it comes to the playoffs. With Bradley Beal and another solid veteran presence coming off the bench, the Warriors would be filled to the brim with offense. And when it comes to defense, Draymond Green, yeah, I think he can direct the show. Now, to the main question. Assuming everybody's healthy, how would this 2022 Warriors team match up with some of the top-tier teams like the Los Angeles Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets? First off, against the Lakers, the Warriors would probably outscore them and win a 7-game series. I mean, in the play-in tournament, against a fully loaded, healthy Lakers without Klay Thompson and losing both Kelly Oubre and James Wiseman due to injuries, LeBron and Laker Nation barely escaped, winning 103-100. With a healthy Klay back on the roster and another 30-point scorer in Beal, I'll have to go with the Warriors in 6. Against the Brooklyn Nets, the Nets might actually just have a little more firepower than the Warriors, even with Beal on the roster. But Brooklyn's offense wouldn't make up for the gap in defensive capabilities, and the Warriors would win this series as well. While I don't think the Warriors need a trade to win the championship, I must admit, having Beal on the roster would increase their chances to win it in 2022 and 2023, and would make the Warriors the most exciting team in the NBA to watch. Speaking of exciting, are you up to date with everything that's going on these days in Dub Nation? I mean, there is a ton of exciting stuff going on besides the trade speculations. If you're not up to date, I got you covered in this video here, where I go over a ton of other stuff going on behind the scenes in the Bay Area, like what Steph Curry's up to, what Draymond Green's doing, and much, much more. It's a great video, guys. Click it, watch it, and I'll see you on the other side.